Hello, my name is James Fillmore.
I'm Micah Reynolds.
And I'm Caleb Foster.
And we are the Habitat Helpers. Our global issue is that habitat loss is one of the greatest threats to life on Earth today. Over 85% of all species live in habitats, which means sadly without something planned, these species are not going to survive much longer due to our human consumption.
Our hypothesis is if we build a schoolyard habitat and include both the students and the principal, they will see the importance that schoolyard habitat brings to our school and continue to care and add on to it.
Here are some facts. A habitat consists of 5 basic resources: food, water, air, shelter, and a place to raise their young. Also, plants are in the habitat for a reason. Not only to be protected by the habitat, but to protect that habitat. Did you know that earthworms play a vital part in the Earth's ecosystem due to the soil that they produce and their soft skin? Also, bees are the #1 pollinator in the world.
Our plan of action is first we need to research, then call Ms. Garcia, a Nature Center employee, then we need to schedule a visit with him, and then we need to invite him to our school and took him on tour of our school so we could ask him where we might be able to build our habitat. After that, we visited some nice local community stores and asked them if they could give us donations. Next, I asked my scout troop if they could come to our school and help build our habitat. After that, we wanted to do a survey, but not in any old, boring way, so we thought of a lesson plan. Finally, we found a lesson plan that we all liked. It was on a play. The play was about how a pollinator lives. After that, we presented it in front of some classes and took them out on a tour of our habitat for a survey. Finally, we wrote a letter to Standard Times asking them if they would and can write a newspaper article about our donators and the people who helped build our cause. Finally, Mrs. Barton, our principal, found a parent that would build the habitat, the gazebo.
Implementation. First, we started our group. Now, originally our group was how chemicals infect water, but we decided to focus more on the environmental part of it, so we switched our group to habitats. Then we started researching our topic. After that, we agreed on our project because we still weren't so sure about the habitats. Then we talked to Miss Fillmore and a nice man named Mr. Andrew. Mr. Andrew Garcia was a Nature Center employee. He helped us a lot in our project. Without him, we would not be here right now. That's for sure. Next, we asked Miss Barton if we could build a habitat in our school because we didn't just want to put it in without her permission. After that, she said yes, and we claimed an area for our schoolyard habitat. We researched and we found an article about lesson plans, and instead of doing a survey, because we thought we don't just want to give out a piece of paper that says do this, do this, do this. Instead, we wanted to teach the kids using our habitats. So we found a lesson plan about pollinators, what a habitat is, and why we need habitats. After that, we went out and asked for donations for plants because that would cost like $1,000 to actually set up our habitats, and we didn't want to pay that much, so we asked for donations from the community. Then James Scout Troop came out on a Saturday and dug holes using tools and planted plants in those holes, and they also hung up bird feeders. We collected data from the surveys the lesson plan that we did to the kids, and then we want to send a letter to Standard Times asking them to thank the people that generously donated plants and food to us. Finally, we found a parent who was willing to build a gazebo in our habitats.
These are some steps that we use to build our habitat. First, we measured the perimeter habitat, so we had the knowledge of knowing what we could put in our habitat. Then we put the plants. We put the bricks where we wanted the gazebo to be built, and put the plants where we wanted them to be planted. After that, we gave the scouts shovels and pickaxes to plant the plants. Next, Mr. Garcia and us hammered nails into the trees so we could put up hummingbird feeders and bird feeders for the wildlife. Next, a couple weeks later, Mr. Garcia came and cemented 3 posts into the ground so he could put up this type of wall called lattice. Lattice is where it helps plants like the star jasmine climb up and build and grow on the wall. Next, a week later, Mr. Garcia came and hammered the lattice wall onto the cement post. Next, Mrs. Barton, our lovely principal, found a parent that would build our gazebo.
Before we built our habitat, we found that there was not much biodiversity. After we built our habitat, we found that there was lots of biodiversity. Some of the things we found were birds, butterflies, worms, lizards, grass, and flowers.
As I said before, we didn't want to do any boring survey, so we did an informational play about a pollinator and how it lives. The pollinator we used was a butterfly. So what we did was, after the play, we took them out on a tour and we got our survey and information. The results were really informing.
Here are some pictures from our class play. On the top right is me educating kids about why we need habitats and what a habitat is. On the bottom left is James guiding the pollinator through life. And on the bottom right is Caleb pointing out food and water in our habitats.
This is our surveys after our habitats. We found there was most kids were informed by our habitat and play.
Well, this was a letter that we asked the Standard Times for the donations. Well, for the people who donated to us.
Here are some pictures from our habitat. In the middle shows that shrubs grew out of plain dirt. What a difference is that? On the bottom right is a bird eating out of our bird feeder. He looks pretty happy there. And on the bottom right is James and Caleb in our habitats.
Well, a habitat is a thing that holds animals and helps them live. We need habitats just like habitats need us in some sort of ways. A habitat consists of 5 basic things like Micah told us. We need habitats because they have they have resources like animals for food and trees that make wood that helps us build houses. These are some stores that we thanked for donating for us and some parents for helping us. Mrs. Fillmore, that nice parent over there behind you, for being our mentor. The Nature Center employee, Mr. Garcia, for helping build our habitat and keep it alive. Palmer's Feed for getting us 50 pounds of bird feed. Home Depot for $75 worth of plants. Slurch Landscaping for a plant. All's Nursery for a plant. And Farmer's Daughter for a plant.
This is our bibliography. We used all websites. Our hypothesis was proven correct because we educated both the principal and the students by taking them on a tour of our habitat. Also, we built the habitat from scratch. What we'll do next? we're going to ask a 3rd grade class if they want to take over the habitat next year when they're in 4th grade. Next, we'll keep of how they care for the habitat.
Thank you. Are
Any
there any
questions?
questions?